tonight I didn't decide. I always ask beforehand. Sometimes I get it a few days before I do this, and sometimes it's 10 minutes before I do it, Maybe not 10 minutes, but it's that day. And I ask Spirit to guide me, to support me in doing what's right for whoever's going to be on this, listening and participating. So when I tuned in and I asked this evening, hi Ada, I got to discuss psychic attack. And that's a thing that's going to come up a lot. Hi Elsa, Vanya, Matea and Yasna, good evening. So it's a subject that comes up quite a bit because most people don't know how to deal with psychic attack, right? And it's, hi Katia, Matea. It's pretty cold, isn't it? I mean, we've had in the minuses here. It's pretty cold. Hi Nita. And I've got little Harry on the lounge. At least he's asleep, sort of. Hi Simona, Matea. So what we're discussing tonight is psychic attack and what to do about it, the different levels of psychic attack. Because when you move into 4D, which a lot of people, well, not a lot, but there are a lot of people in 4D moving into 5D. Hi, Elsa. You like the cold, sunny weather. That's nice. The big thing with psychic attack is a lot of it's on the mental plane. So it's mental. It's what people think about you, what people send you. Sometimes it's intentional. Well, most of the time it's intentional, but sometimes it's not so intentional. It's more just bitching about you, Hi, Bodhi. And as you become more sensitive to energy and to frequencies and to knowing yourself and your own inner voice and your own energy through your body, you become more aware of when you are feeling uncomfortable, when you are being plagued with thoughts, when you are getting sort of really weird things happen in your life. So there's different levels of psychic attack. And the mental level of psychic attack is what most people deal with. And it can be like a stabbing in the back of your throat, the back of your neck, in your stomach, anywhere on your stomach, in your chest, like a sharp stabbing pain in your head. You can. These sort of things are usually a psychic attack. Like and it can also be like, as I said, when you start to become more sensitive and clearer because of the healings that you're doing, you start to feel what other people are feeling, and that can feel like a psychic attack. Like, I'm just remembering now, we went to this house once a few years ago. I've spoken about it before. And there was a woman there. I didn't know her, but when we walked in, I was fine. Hi, Dion. I was fine. And then within 5 minutes of walking in this house, I had terrible stomach pains. And I said to Yanni, we need to leave, and we need to leave now. Yes, in the middle of the back as well. You'll get this, like someone putting a knife in your back, And I had these stomach pains that were just horrendous. And we get to the car, and I said, I think you need to drive me to the hospital, love, because I'm really in a lot of pain. And then Yanni said to me, but you didn't have this 5 minutes ago. And that clicked, because sometimes when you're in something, you don't realise, hi Barbs, you don't realise that maybe it's not yours. And him just saying that, but you didn't have this 5 minutes ago, made me tune into my body. Because when we have something like that, our first response And if we're in pain in any way, the first response is not to go into your body, to get out of your body. So you want to get away from it. You either want to get away from it or you want to suppress it. So you either want to take drugs and calm it all down, suppress it, go to sleep, or you want to get it out of your body. And so I think that, anyway, I'll go back to this story. So Yanni said to me, you weren't feeling that 5 minutes ago. And I said, that's right. And I said, drive to the sharp pain in the chest. Yeah, see, so you can get it. So I said to him, drive to the hospital. And as he was driving to the hospital, I had my hands on my stomach and I started to tune in, and I was saying repeatedly, if this doesn't belong to me, leave now, return to sender. I was basically saying, I'm unwilling to hold this in my body for you, because then I started to get all this stuff that had happened to the person in the house that we had just gone into. And I started to get these images, and I knew that it didn't belong to me. And often when you get those images, you might go, oh, that's stupid. Why am I thinking? That's crazy. That's a crazy thought. Why would I be thinking about that? Or why would I be having? And so you, again, push it away. But I didn't. I go, okay, so I'm getting these. This is obviously connected to this person. And I just repeated for about 3 minutes, I'm unwilling to hold this in my body for you. I'm returning it to you. And then the pain left, completely left. And of course, we didn't need to go to the hospital, but that's an energetic attack, but it wasn't deliberate. So sometimes, when you're walking down the street and you'll suddenly get a sharp stabbing pain in your hip or in your ankle, that can be one of two things. It can be either you've just walked on a very discordant ley line or on an energy on the earth that has had, when I'm alone, I am good. Yes, it's very interesting, isn't it, Bodhi? So you can be walking along and feel these sharp stabbing pains or go over on your ankle or something like this, and that can be what's happened on that land. It can be a discordant ley line or something like that. But it can also be if you get a pain in your knee or a sharp pain in your hip, and then suddenly, this would happen to me quite often. And then I notice, okay, this old person just walked past me with a walking stick or something, and I've taken the pain from them. Because as you do more healing and you develop and your awareness develops, your auric field opens up. It gets bigger. So the more you release that doesn't belong to you, the more of your space you're in possession of. And that, especially for the first, time frames are changing now. It used to be that things took a longer time to kind of develop and work through. Now things are happening very fast. So when you become more sensitive, you pick up on those things because your field is bigger and your field is open to receive it. Now, that doesn't mean that you walk around shutting yourself down. I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to feel anything. On Saturdays we do that technique of bringing in the divine and then containing your energy and placing a frequency on the outside of it that says no to negativity. So you can do that. Sometimes you can walk into a shopping center, let's say, and within 5 minutes, or it can even be work, it can be going to your family's place on the weekend. Within 5 minutes, you'll be completely exhausted, feel so drained and horrible. And that's because you've gone in with a completely open energy, and it's like the heaviness, the fears and the heaviness of everyone around you, it's like they've sucked out your energy, but you've also reduced your energy, because we connect with each other. It's like the trees, the trees' roots connect underground with each other. They communicate. They have a whole communication system. We are intimately connected to everything. Everything. And as we get clearer and clearer in ourselves and stronger with our energy system, we become more sensitive and more adept at figuring out what is ours and what is someone else's. You know, that's why I was guided to do these retreats, to help people to really hear their own voice, so that when these things happen, you actually know, okay, that's not mine, because I know what mine is like. I was wondering what you will talk about today. I had an experience today at work, heard something, and immediately I sensed with whole my body it was a lie. Exactly. That's fabulous, Barbs. That's fabulous. Because you're starting to know yourself really strongly. If you're doing meditation, if you're doing regular healings, if you're taking time to journal, you're going internal. What is internal? It's the act of receiving yourself. When you receive yourself, you get fuller and fuller and fuller. You know, I have people who come for healings and they say to me, I'm so tired. I can't create anything. Nothing happens in my life. And seriously, I see the energy, the inspiration. It comes to here and they just give it all away. They give it all away, all the energy. So they're not allowing their energy to go down into their body and be utilized by themselves. And so that's a whole, you know, healing in itself to learn how to be able to do that. But for the purposes of psychic attack, because this year is the year where the earth or our realities begin to really separate. So the darkness becomes, I mean, we're seeing it. It's hideous, right? The darkness is so in our faces and it's permeated every level of existence in 3D and 4D that it's overwhelming, and you can't escape it. You can't. Yeah, sure, you can escape through the TV, through videos, being at home, listening to music. You can escape for a period of time, but eventually you're going to have to go outside your front door, and eventually you're going to receive messages, whether you like it or not, of the outside world, right? So we go into. I was talking to someone yesterday about this. And you go into a supermarket, whether it's, you know, Spar or McCarter or Woolworths or something like this, you know, you go into a supermarket, you're feeling perfectly fine. And you don't realize your energy system is picking up on what everybody else is thinking and feeling. So if people are fearful about, can I afford to do this shopping? Oh, can I pay my rent? Am I going to lose my job? Is my partner going to leave me? You know, is the bank going to collapse? Is the school system going to, is it COVID going to come? Sorry, shouldn't say that. Going to come back? Is this, that, and the other? You know, it's like there's so much going on in people's heads because that's what they're listening to. That's what they're being programmed with. You can't help but pick that up. Even if it's not conscious, even if you don't have a conversation with someone, you're going to feel it in some way. So I personally, what I do before I go into a shopping centre, and Yanni can attest to this because, and I've had friends that have been amazed by this. They'll say, I've never met anyone who can do that, right? So before I go into the shopping centre, I just stand there for a moment and I breathe in. And I think about all the life force that's in there. I can't clearly anymore and my head is buzzing. Exactly. They suffocate you. Supermarkets are like terror for a lot of people, especially when you're sensitive, when you've been working through your stuff and your energies are opening up. It's like a psychic washing machine. It's just horrible, right? So what I do is I stand. There's a couple of things I do every day. You've got to do this every day because when you do it every day, you start to build up and you don't do it from fear. When you do a form of directing your energy, I don't call it protection so much because protection automatically implies that you need to be safe, you know, so there's an enemy out there and that creates a separation. So I'm not really keen on separation because that's 3D and 4D. So I talk about directing your energy, having an intention, placing your energy in a plane of existence that's right for you. So it really is where you're placing your frequency. So this is the start of your day. So I would say every day, Mother, Father, God, because I believe in the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I don't believe that God is a man, right? So Mother, Father, God, please keep me safe from accidents, near accidents, theft, psychic attack on all levels. You know, I'll do something like this. Or I will say, it's my intention to be in the vibration of laughter today, or love today, or healing today, whatever it may be, but I do an intention every single day. If I'm in the car, then I'll also add, and a lot of you have heard this before, I'll add, keep me invisible from the police, red light cameras, speed cameras, things like that, right? So I do that as well, and help me to find a park and blah, blah, blah. So I set an intention when I'm going out. When I go into a supermarket, I'll often just sit and I take a breath and I think about all the life force that's in that supermarket, particularly with children, because children, you know, they have an innocent energy, and their energy is usually not as scattered as their parents, and they're more joyful and playful, and they're not worried. The average child is not worried about a whole load of things. I'm not saying that kids don't have worries, but most of them don't, you know. So I say to myself, I'm going to connect with that. I'm going to connect with the life force that's in this supermarket. So I don't say, I'm not connecting with all the negativity and I'm not going to connect with all the mind chatter. No, because that's basically setting up a fear-based reality. So I go, I'm going to breathe in all that wonderful childlike energy that's in here, and anybody who's in the light, who's bright and who's got, you know, a strong frequency, I'm breathing in the light. I'm just going to absorb the light that's in here. And I'll tell you what, I'll walk out often from a supermarket with more energy than what I entered in with. And sometimes when I used to go away and work really intensely for a week or two in different countries, and I'd work really intensely, and sometimes in the evening I'd be so tired, and I'd say, oh, is there a shop near here? You know, is there a shopping centre near here? People would think I was insane. And I would literally go to the shopping centre, and I swear to you, within half an hour I'm full of energy and enjoying myself, and, you know, it's all good. So it's your intention, right? And so when we move into 5D, it's really important, because you want to move into 5D. What's holding you in 3D and 4D, which is duality, psychic attack, all of this stuff. What's holding you there is your mind and your emotions going, oh, I don't want this. Keep that away from me. Protect me from this. Keep like, you know, it's like, I had a friend who used to like have a list, and I'm talking 30 things, that before she went somewhere, she did this list. And the list was, protect me from this, protect me from that. Heavenly Father, protect me from that. And it went on and on and on, and from this and that and da-da-da and da-da-da. And it used to make me feel sick. And when I would stay with her, I would feel sick, because I think the fear was just so intense in this person's body. And, you know, she had a completely alkaline diet, by all intents is very healthy, but died from intense inflammation that caused a horrific disease. And, you know, she would say to me, why have I got all this inflammation? Why have I got... I said, because you're full of fear. You know, it doesn't matter what you eat. That doesn't matter. You're literally got a list of 30 things every day you want to be protected from, because you're fearful of it happening, and then it happens. Because Your fear is, it's like your whole body is in resistance, right? You're in resistance. It's just attuned to the frequencies of the words you are saying. The universe doesn't hear that. Don't. Exactly. It doesn't. It's the frequencies. So this person freaking out all the time. Oh, be careful of this. Like this. It's not healthy. So that's a certain level of psychic attack and psychic awareness that is everyday things. Everyday things. So it's just being aware of your energy, where you're placing your energy, what you're requesting for your energy to receive. And if you do walk past someone and you get a stabbing pain or something like that, you just put your hand there, place all your attention there. Close your eyes, place your attention. I'm unwilling to hold this for you. I'm unwilling to process this for you, whatever it may be, and you allow it to go. So this Petra is saying she felt such a rush of intense energy earlier when a rescue ambulance drove by. Yeah, I literally, I know this is, I'm very sensitive, right? So I can feel car and who is in the car driving past my house. I can feel it, right? So I understand what you're saying there, Petra. If an ambulance, if I see an accident, obviously you witness accidents in your life. I get the pain of what the physical pain of what that person is feeling. So then I have to work through it and say, okay, in that instance, if I see an ambulance or something, I said a prayer for that person who's in there, that they receive the right doctor and nurses to support them in their healing with kindness and love and this sort of thing, So I'll say a little prayer around that or send some energy towards it or something like that, because I just feel that helps me to disconnect as well, because maybe I'm seeing it for a reason, to be able to help energetically. So there's that side of it where duality comes in, and it's literally psychic attack is duality playing out. That's what it can be. So it can be somebody loves me, somebody hates me. Somebody is accepting of me, someone, rejects me. Someone who's happy for me, someone who's jealous for me. So it's that duality that we unfortunately deal with in those frequencies. And as we move into 5D, what I'm noticing is that there's a lot more attacks that are not coming from that mental plane, right? So I've just been talking about mental plane stuff, and it can also be tragedies that happen in that area. Sometimes you might go to, there was a road I went on a couple of times in Austria, and I would vomit and, be really, I couldn't take it. And then I found out there was a concentration camp there and a lot of things had happened. I mean, I didn't grow up in Europe, so I don't know where all these places are, But I remember there was an airport I used to go to there, and I'd go, why? At one point, why am I? Every time I drove on that road past that area, I would feel really bad. And then one day I decided to look into it and I found that out. So that helped me to adjust my energy for the next time that I was going past it. So that was a good thing. So we look at the mental plane of psychic attack is not that difficult to get rid of. It's kind of easy, quick to come back from, right? And you may find that a lot of people have pulled on your energy and that's draining you as well. Well, then you call back all your energy to you now. I call back all the energy of my spirit to me now. call back all the energy of my spirit to me now. You know, you do that a few times. Close your eyes, feel it coming back to you, commanding it to come back to you. You know, it's not staying with all these people, especially if you work in service. If you're a healer, you work in service, you're seeing a lot of people through the day, your energy gets, and if you're sensitive, your energy gets connected to them. So it's always a good idea to call back your energy at the end of the day and just take a breath and still yourself, you know, feel your feet and ground yourself back into the body. So that sort of psychic attack, as I said, put awareness on it. That says you're developing. You put awareness on it. Okay, this doesn't belong to me. I wasn't feeling this 5 minutes ago, so I'm going to return it to sender. Now, some people would say to me, what if you turn it to sender? If it's coming from my grandmother, isn't that psychically attacking my grandmother back? You know, because the grandmother's controlling or whatever. No, because when you say return to sender, it may be coming through the grandmother from some being that possessed someone 3 generations ago in your family. You know, it could be a deceased area. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to where it came from. So where it came from can be a person, it can be a being, it can be a plane of existence, it can be a country, it can be anything, where it came from. So that doesn't mean you're psychic attacking other people. And that's a really important factor, because if you want to be clean at that, you can't be doing it to others. You have to stop yourself. Like sometimes you can't help yourself. You know, you're driving along, someone does something stupid and I start yelling, you know, you bloody dickhead or whatever. And then, you know, Yanni will go, I was like, well, they shouldn't have done that. And then he, like this, you know, and I'll go, oh, cancel that, cancel it, cancel, sorry, cancel. And I cancel it, you know, but it's an automatic response sometimes to get angry with someone and to say shit that you don't actually mean, yeah? I'm no healer, but work in retail and definitely pick up on people's energies. Calling back my energy helps a lot. Exactly, Melinda. It's really important. And the other thing that I do is sometimes people cord to you because they're thinking about you, you know. So then you get them in your mind and all this sort of thing. And I use water as a psychic conductor, because water has, you know, we're mostly water, and water has memory, but it also can be directed with the mental landscape. So when I have a shower and I'm literally saying, in the name of Jesus Christ, yeah, I cleanse this body, and I cleanse all the energy off me from the day. And then I'll call in, you know, guides or angels, or depending, and I'll say cut, sever and disintegrate all cords running to me and from me that are not of love and above. And that's it. And I'm good to go. Then I can have plenty of energy and I'm fine. So there's these things that you can do that it's, like I said, it's not necessarily about putting a wall up and, you know, I discovered, like in the, I would say, early 90s it would have been. I remember feeling it because it was huge, you know, this thing of protection, psychic protection. And you used to put up these mirrors and all this sort of stuff. And I remember doing this one day, and guidance came into me and said, do you want to fight? And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, you know, when you put up a wall and there's light behind it, it's an invitation to the dark to come and knock down the wall. And that's why you're getting so much psychic attack. And I was like, well, then what should I do? And they said, well, why don't you just place your energy somewhere, what I've been talking about. And I started to do that then. It was very controversial, and a lot of people thought I was completely insane, and I was ridiculed for saying that you don't need protection. So I didn't mean like never do anything with your energy. That's how it was interpreted. But it wasn't like that. It was more give your energy a direction and intention and place it in the frequency you want to create at, not in the frequency you want to fight with, right? And so putting up a wall, anyway, that's what I discovered a long time ago, and it's worked well for me. But it's a thing about people kind of letting go of everything that they've believed to be true. Like, the truth is variable as well. I mean, the truth changes. The truth of 1 + 1, simple mathematics, is the truth. But then as you develop, you get into more complicated mathematics, like physics or algebra. Will go like that, you know. So that's the truth as well. It's just a different landscape of mathematics, but it doesn't mean that the simple one isn't true either. Truth is variable, right? So it's different layers of it. And in different dimensions are expansions of truth, I could say that. So that's mental plane psychic attack, and it's amongst people, it's with things. So it could be furniture that you buy from an op shop, and it's got the memory, it's got the psychic memory of the person who owned it, who may be a lower frequency to you, who may have been really sick, and you're picking up on that, right? So that's the sort of mental plane psychic attack. And as I said, that's actually quite easy to release. It really is. It requires you to not sort of collapse yourself or try to get away from yourself, but to sit there and just really tune in and be present. Yeah, to know yourself. If you know yourself, and you know how you think and how your vibration actually feels, you'll know when it doesn't belong to you. So that's one side of it. And then you've got the other side. Well, then you have very many different types of psychic attack. So then you get into the other realms of psychic attack. The 4D realms of psychic attack can be interdimensionals, lost souls who are angry and disturbed, and also what we call alien frequencies, right? So I used to be part of a group that would go, can you believe this, in the 80s, the late 80s, I was part of a group that we used to go, ghost busting. We'd go to houses and clear houses of when people thought that they had an entity in the house or whatever. And at my tender age, I was surrounded by older women, because I was very young to be in that group. And but I have to say, because I had a different way, because I was from a different generation, I suppose, I had a different way of seeing things, but I had all my life interacted with different spirits. So I had a different knowledge base, let's say. And I could tell if it was a mental construct that they were interpreting as a entity or a lost soul, or if it really was a lost soul, or if it was a demon, or if it was a portal, or whatever. So I was able to figure this out. And what I discovered was that sometimes we think that an entity is an entity, but it's not. It's actually a mental construct. So it can be someone's thoughts, layered fears, annoyances, anger, layered in the house. Layered. So if someone comes home and they're angry at the world every single day, and that's placed in that house, then it becomes layered. And so then, say someone else comes into the house, or weird shit starts to happen in the house, like, bookshelves falling over and stuff like that, of course they're going to think I've got a ghost in the house, an entity. It's not. It's their own shit coming at them. Really seriously. So, the mental plane can be quite powerful, quite strong, and sometimes because people are fearful, they'll interpret that mental plane, which is, as I said, it's quite easy to clean up, as an entity when it's not. Okay, so if you have an entity in a house, depends on what sort of entity it is. So you can have an entity that is someone who lived on that land or died in the house or has followed you, died around you, some relative or something, and they would have unfinished business. And so the way to deal with them is to do a meditation, call upon them, and find out what is their unfinished business. What do they need to tell you? What do they need to finish? I'll give you an example. I moved into a brand new house in the Blue Mountains. And the Blue Mountains is known as a lot of it's sacred Aboriginal land. And anyway, I moved into this house and I started to have these really weird dreams. And then I had this, I don't know if any of you have ever had it, when a spirit comes and grabs you by the throat and tries to, in the middle of the night. I've had that happen a few times. So I had this physical, like strangling. And obviously it freaks you out because you know that is quite an angry, it can be angry or demonic, but a very, very angry spirit. And so I started to I was like, oh my God, this is a new house. How can this happen? So I started to tune in and I just kept getting this really angry woman, and she didn't want to talk to me. She was just furious, this Aboriginal woman. She was just furious, just crazy. And then over a period of about 2 weeks, every day I would just sit and meditate. I wanted to move from the house, don't worry. I wanted to move from the house, but I was told by Spirit, no, you don't need to move from the house. I liked the house. They said, you don't need to move from the house. You're here to help. So anyway, over 2 weeks, I sat and I meditated and I called her in, and she was screaming at me, just going crazy and everything. And then eventually I said to her, why are you angry? What happened to you? And then she showed me that her 2 children were killed in front of her, and then she was killed. And she was really angry with white people, right? And here I am, a white woman, moved onto the land where she died. So the house was built on the land. It wasn't the house itself, it was the land. And so I said, look, I'm really, really sorry. I understand that would have been really painful. I had this conversation with her, and then I said to her, look, what can I do to put you at rest? What can I do as a gift for you and your babies to say that I'm sorry and to bring you to peace around this land, because this was your land and now I'm living here. And there are other people living here, neighbours and everything. So what can I do? And she wanted me to plant certain native bushes and trees. So I did. And then she was at peace and she left. Right? She was no longer earthbound. I didn't, when you're dealing with a spirit like that, okay, so the book will tell you, if you read a book or whatever, they'll tell you, bring in the archangels, bring in the wall of light, and it's true, and have them go. Absolutely. But if they're really angry, they're not going to go. And if they're dark, if they're demonic beings, they're not going to go either. So what are you going to do? So if they're angry, you need to find out what. You can't be afraid, If you're afraid, they'll feel it and they'll feed off it. So if they're angry, you need to ask them why they're angry and what do they need to help them, right? So if you can get to that, usually that calms them down enough. And sometimes I would say to people, particularly if they're relatives of someone or something like that, and they're just angry at the family or what have you, I'll say, okay, I can see that you're waiting around because you want to tell them to do something. You want them to know something, and they go, yes, and they're not listening. So, okay, what if I told you that you could go to them in their dreams and they would listen to you? Because they're too scared to listen to you as a spirit. You've passed on. But what if you could communicate to them in their dreams? And they go, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then I'd say, yeah, but you can't do that unless you go into the light first. You have to go into the light first, and then you'll be able to learn the technique to be able to come in their dreams. But usually what will happen is when they go into the light or with the guidance, they're not going to come in the dreams or angry, because they'll get healing. They'll be balanced as a spirit. They'll understand the truth of what's going on and what happened to them. So they're not going to then come and terrorize their relatives, mostly. Right? Depends where they go. Okay? So if it's a demonic being, that's different again. So if you've got a demonic being in your house, or there's a number of things that you can do. Okay, so if it's on the land or the house, that's different to one just appearing to attack you. So these things they're not all the same. They don't come in one category. So it's like the most important thing is not to be afraid. If you get afraid, they'll feed off it and they'll keep coming back. And if you get afraid, you won't know what to do, because fear takes you out of your body and places you either in, obviously, it places you in fight or flight or freeze, right? So you'll either freeze or you'll try to fight it, run out of the house screaming, and things like this, So it's better to try and, obviously the first couple of times it happens to you, you are frightened. It's normal to be frightened because you're confronted with something that isn't tangible, like the table or the chair or whatever. It's not a bloody movie screen. It's not watching a television program. Oh yeah, I'm just watching a demon try to attack me. No. There's feelings involved. Those demons know what feelings are going to affect you. They also know how to paralyze you and things like this. So it's a good idea to at least have it in your mind what you could do, right? Which is why I wanted to, I didn't want to go, Spirit wanted me to talk about this. So if it's demonic and it's attached to the house or the land, you will not send it into the light. That's the worst thing you can do, because then you're going to fight with it. All right? And when I hear people say, oh yeah, I brought in the light and we're warrior angels and light work beings and we're going to blast it into the light and we've converted it into the light and all this. Well, you have to give it the option. You can't, would you like it if someone came into your space, into your face and said, you've got to convert to a different religion, you've got to live and be in a totally different way? You would hate it, right? Where's your free will in that? So who are we to turn around and say to a demonic being, you've got to go into the light. Now, off you go. Blah, blah, blah. No, it's not, if you to be a spiritual warrior and to understand spiritual warfare is to understand the dark realms and the light realms. It's not just one, it's both. So if you can take the opportunity to understand that if this dark being is there, you trying to push it into the light and sending light to it, all you're doing, they feed off light. That's what they want from you. So all you're doing is feeding it light to attack you with. It's like we're giving money to terrorists to attack us with. It's stupid, right? So you don't do that. You literally say, okay, this is a demon. What does it want? Why is it here? It'll tell you. If you are not frightened of it, it will show you or tell you what it wants. Now, if you're on its land, depending on, obviously if it's a poltergeist energy and it's an energy that's like a convent and there's a number of demons, or it's a porthole where demons come through, don't even attempt to close it. They'll eventually close up naturally, but I would move. In that case, I would move. And I've had people literally come to me and have that, and I've said move, and they won't, because the demon has a hold of them already, and the demon wants them to stay. And these are usually people with kids. And those kids are being terrorized on a daily basis. And the parents are like, oh, we can't move because, we've got to be stronger than those demons and we've got to get them out. You obviously don't understand. They need to go into the light. And I'm saying, well, actually, I do understand, probably more than you realize. And if you stay here, one of you are going to die. So it's up to you what you want to do. But what I'm saying is you can't go into somebody else's territory and demand that they convert and demand that they leave. It's not the right thing, and then send them light. Oh, I'm sending them love and light every day and they're not leaving, they're not converting. It's like, well, why would they? They're getting everything that they want. It's like there are aspects of religions on this planet that people refuse to acknowledge. And you have to be able to acknowledge that there are aspects of the dark that we are not meant to coexist with. We are not meant to be loving and kind to. We're meant to respect them. There's a big difference between being loving and kind and respecting a demon, right? So you respect it and you leave. If that's the case, you leave. And someone will move in there that's actually in harmony with it, and that's all very good. Unless it's that I'm talking about where there's a portal, right? And there'll be a number of demons. It won't be just one demon or, 5 demons. It'll be a lot of demons and they're coming through. This is something that I don't think the average person or even a group of people can attempt to clean up. I realized there is a female spirit constantly screaming on me. I could feel anger, but also sadness. Burning candles, drowning flower of life didn't help much. Then you got to communicate with her and find out what she's angry about. What does she want? What does she need to have peace? Because these people need to have their soul at rest. It's like in the real life when people are angry and they're disturbed and they need peace, and people are just constantly going, oh, you're angry all the time, but they don't want to listen to you and they don't want to understand you, then you're going to keep being angry. They need they need to have their soul at rest, So, okay, so if it's like one demon hanging around the place I set boundaries and actually my place and put it boundaries. She stood for a while. Okay. What if a family member carries entities and demons on himself or herself? Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one because, look, I have worked with this sort of stuff for a lot of years, okay? And depends, one, how they got it. So if your family member has a demon or an entity, carries entities and demons because they were into alcohol or drugs or something and they're clearer now, you can maybe have that conversation and they can choose to let it go. But what happens is people have the opportunity to release them. I'll give you an example, right? I would have people on both sides. I have people that come to me that have got demons attached to them, people that come to me that are fighting with demons who want to attach to them. And the difference between the two is this. The one that's fighting the demons that wants to take possession of them is the one that has a moral compass, who already has an open heart and says, when the demon, and they don't even know it's a demon, it's like an initiation. When the demon says, just hit the kid, you know, like they won't remember. They're just a baby. They won't remember. Just tell it to shut up and give it a slap and lock it in the room or whatever. That person will go, where did that thought come from? Like, of course I'm not going to lock the kid in the room or hit it or, you know, kick the dog or steal that money or, slap that woman or whatever it is the demon wants them to do. There's something inside them that will say, that will question it and question they think it's their thought, but they will question their thought and they will say no to the thought, but they're actually saying no to the demon, right? And the ones that have them attached, they often say yes to the demon. They'll go, well, yeah, that's right. Nobody will know. So people who, let's just slide down this one for a second. I worked for many years with people who had been satanically abused. And so, of course, in working with them, I had to connect with the abuser. Not in person, but energetically. And those people have demons telling them what to do, attached to them. Most of the time, they had it happen to them, and sometimes they're playing it out to figure out what happened to them and how could someone do it. It's a strange thing. It's like an imprint they're trying to get rid of by passing it on to someone else. It's very weird, but anyway. And the person that comes to me is the one that also would have demons wanting to control them, but their mind is stronger than the demon. So they might have had lifetimes of some sort of religious service or lifetimes where they've grown in their awareness. Because what I know 100%, anyone who's been abused like that has a very strong light and they've been targeted. They've definitely been targeted and it's nothing they did. Like, because some people would say, oh, it's your karma. It's your karma that it happened to you. Actually, it's very rare that it's someone's karma. They're usually targeted because of the strength of their light and their ability to create and manifest, right? So you can okay, so if it's entity, let's say it's earthbound spirits they picked up at the pub when they were drinking. They're not demonic, they're just angry alcoholic spirits, okay? What you can do is you can place a vortex of light around the person, really strong, keep it going, vortex of light, and spin them out. once you've done that, you've got to do like a Merkaba within the person. So what can happen is that their chakra system may be reversed, which means that their Merkaba is reversed. So with men, the chakra system starts spinning clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and so on. And with the women, it's the opposite. It's anti-clockwise, clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, and so on. So you've got to then get them spinning in the right direction and get their Merkaba moving in the right direction, right? Because it will be reversed. When someone's had entities for any period of time, I'm telling you, their chakra system is out of whack and their Merkaba is reversed. So because they become inverted, it's like that those entities are feeding off them. And if it's demonic, so you can do that if it's entities. You can do it. If you're really close to that person and you feel like, particularly if it's your child or something like that, and you feel that maybe they need a breather to develop awareness around what they're doing and what's happening. Maybe they had a car accident and it happened then. So it's not just alcohol and drugs. It can be an accident, it can be a shock. Anything that opens up the auric field will invite entities in. And what you're going to find is that with all the portals that they're opening at the moment, they've got a lot more what I call transmortals and demons. Transmortals are like teenage demons. They're young demons in training. There's a lot more of them coming through and they're looking for hosts. And so you're going to see more of this. We went through a stage where that was being cleared up. It was a huge amount of clearing that was going on. And people were becoming very aware of it. The astral plane was cleaned up. And that was the veil between dimensional realities, planet Earth and the universe, and all of that stuff. So that got cleaned up. And now they want to create it again. So they need more entities. They need more demonic frequencies to come in to possess people, to get them to do the things that they want them to do, because they want to hold us in 3D and 4D. So with regards to that, you could try that. If it's demonic, so they might have the entities from, like I said, wherever they're from. They're earthbound spirits. But if it's demonic, you can actually get the demon to leave. But the person has to have an element of intention to do it. Like they need to want to release themselves from that demon. Or if you want to, like, look, there are certain cases where I'll get they have to, it depends on the person. Like the spirit will say to me, no, they need to ask because it's about them feeling self-empowered and honoring themselves. And then other times I'll get, no, they don't need to ask, just do it. They don't need to give permission, just do it. So it's a very, edgy road, because if you want to get rid of a demon, I can tell you you have to not have any fear. Because when you want to release a demon from someone, it doesn't matter who it is, they're going to attack you. Don't think that you're 1,000 miles away and they don't know where that energy is coming from that is trying to get rid of them. Because you can do it from a distance. So they're going to know. And if you can face that, then that's okay. But I would say don't do it if you have fear. And how you can do it is by calling in Jesus Christ. And I can tell you the biggest fear that they have of all the beings in the universe is Mother Mary. You can call in these two energies and ask them to release the demon from your friend, your loved one, whomever it is, and return the demon to where it belongs. That Jesus Christ deal with the demon. So usually, what they would do is say that the demon needs to go to the foot of Jesus and, receive its instructions. You can do that, but in order to do that, you have to believe in Jesus. You can't just say, okay, Holy Spirit, Jesus, come take this demon away, blah, blah, blah. No, you got to believe in it 100%. You have to really feel it in yourself. See, a lot of people who want to do this clearing, they're doing it here in the mind. And what is the mind? 3D, 4D. It's the mental plane of psychic attack. When you're dealing with demons, you're dealing different dimensions, not 3D or 4D, because you're not seeing them, which tells you that they're above 5D, right? When you get to 5D, the dark and the light separate. They don't coexist. So people would say, okay, there's, we're going to 5D, and once we get into 5D, then there'll be no more darkness. That's true if you choose the 5D of light. It's absolutely true. But there's also 5D, 6D, and so on of darkness. They also have their upper realms. And they come under universal laws. Both sides come under God, dark and light. They all come under God, universal laws, the Holy Spirit, divinity, whatever you want to call it. They all come under the same thing. And they are ruled by universal laws. And the number one is free will. So if this person has not given free will to have those entities or that demon attached to them, then it has to go. But the doorway for it to leaving is Jesus Christ and Mother Mary. Right? And if you don't believe in them, what you going to do? I'm telling you, that's what it takes. And that's why priests, the more, that priests are doing more exorcisms now than they have in many years. That's why, unfortunately, I'm not a big church, goer or any, I just don't believe in that system. However, they know what they're doing when it comes to exorcisms and releasing demons. They absolutely know what they're doing. So that's who you would go to, but you can release them, but you have to believe in those two things. Or at least the power of God. Because people say, oh yeah, I believe in spirituality and I believe in that and this. And then as soon as some shit hits the fan in their life, oh, God hates me. Oh, but what's the point of doing all of this? It doesn't work. You know, crying their eyes out. I mean, for God's sake. I'm using God's name in vain. But, you know, it's like, what do you believe in? What do you really, really believe in? Oh, this bad thing happened. Why is God punishing me? Why did God take my loved one from me? You know, break up my relationship, whatever. God didn't break up your relationship. You broke it up with your stupid behavior probably, or their stupid behavior. I don't know. But what I'm saying is God didn't do that to you. That's our own mind bullshit that goes on this planet. It's got nothing to do with God. God operates through all the systems. We are trying to elevate ourselves to that, but none of us are like completely godly. If we were, we wouldn't be in a human body. So, you know, you have to believe in something in order to get rid of these things. You have to. So even if you remember, what helps me, like, because, you know, they will attack you. I'm telling you now, they will attack you. That's why I'm saying to you, don't be afraid. They'll attack you in your mind. They'll attack you in your body. They'll you know, you'll find it hard to breathe. You'll suddenly get heart palpitations, or they'll say, you know, like I have a son, so they'd always go for that. Like, oh, you're going to do this to your son, blah, blah, blah. You know, and they put these images in my head. And they'll attack you. And what you need to do when they're doing that is just literally focus on the outcome. And that is that person is free of that demon, and that demon is no longer in the vicinity. And you want the demon not to go into the light, but to go back to where it came from. That's what I mean by respect. If you're going to work with these energies, you have to respect them. You need to be able to go, okay, you have a place in the universe. When I go into 5D, I'm going to be in a 5D of light. I don't know about anybody else, right? It doesn't mean I'm not going to have a shit day every now and again and my tire's not going to go, or I'm going to need brakes on my car, or, you know, I don't know, air conditioning needs to be fixed. So what am I going to do? Sit down and cry, oh, God hates me because now I've got to pay for this? No. You just deal with it, right? So it's the mind is keeping us in 3D and 4D. We're already in 5D. It's the mind that's keeping us there with all of this crap that we go on about. Oh, it's terrible. Like, so the more that you open up to who you are, the stronger your energy becomes, the more sensitive you become, the more you feel that mindscape, the more that you feel that depression or sadness or grief. And we interpret that sometimes as psychic attack, but really we just hovered down into a pile of crap that people are resonant in, right? And we just need to pull ourselves back out of it. If we're dealing with entities and things like that, we have to see what level of entity are we dealing with. Are we dealing with a lost soul that's really lost and scared and frightened? That's easy enough to deal with. You have a conversation, you send them into the light. You call in their ancestors, or you call in some angelic beings. That's why people aren't scared of angelic beings, and you ask them to take this person into the light. Or you have a conversation. Hey, do you want to help your family? Great. You want to communicate with them in your dreams? You'll be able to do that easily enough. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, but you need to do this, right? But if it's a dark being, if it's a demon, you can't send it into the light unless that's where it wants to go. And it doesn't usually want to go there. So you send it back to whence it came. You can give it the opportunity to call out to go with Jesus, right? That's up between them and Jesus or Mary. But it's not for you to blast them with light. That is the worst thing you could do. The worst thing, I'm telling you. It blows my brains out when I see this or hear it, because it's so disrespectful to what they've chosen. If a person chooses to be an alcoholic, only they can change it. You can tell them, oh, I hate it, you're hurting me, you're doing all this, but they have to choose to change it. And that's it. That's what they do. So one thing I do, and we do this in Saturday's meditations, we set up a grid around the home. So you set up an energetic grid. You place the pillars of light and frequency in each corner, and you create a wall of sound between those pillars, right? So you're completely encased in light and sound. It's a frequency. And you put your intention there. Is it to be invisible? What is the intention? You put it under the earth, up into the sky. Oh, sorry, dog just went crazy. Up into the sky, whatever you want to do. Harry, come here. Come here, Harry. Come here, darling. Come here, darling. Come to me. So you build that up, and you build it up every day. And then we have the waterfall of light that takes entities that want to go into the light into that waterfall, or they stay outside your front door, wherever you place the waterfall. So they can't come into your house. You set up these intentions, and you check on it every day, and you build it up. It's like, how I said, sometimes you can go into a house and there's a build-up of mental energy in there, and you feel it in your body when you walk in. You want to do the same with your beautiful energy, and you build it up, and it's built up every day. And it's a really nice frequency for you to enter your home into. But you don't do it just once and think, okay, that's that forever. You constantly do it. And when you go through a big change, you recalibrate everything to that change. So you uplift everything once again. You put your energy into it. So you're always uplifting your energy. You're always recalibrating it. And this is something that keeps you focused on where you want to go. And sure, shit's going to happen. Demons are going to try and get you when you go out or whatever. It's going to happen. Like if I go to, there are certain places I really dislike going to, because I know I'm going to have to put up with shit, because it's not my house, right? I can't go to someone else's house and demand they change the whole frequency of the house so that I'm okay there. It's like, I'm not going to do it. So then it's the same if I stay in a hotel. I could sometimes for a few days before, I'll set up the energy of the room, because I really need to work and I don't need any disturbances. But you're going to get entities. You're going to get different things happen. And like I was saying earlier, like with my friend who had all these, demands every day, a list of about 30 demands, protect me from this, protect me from that, and keep me safe from there. It's like this whole list of things that she had such a fear of. And I can't live in fear. You can't live in fear, right? So when that happens, I just trust that if it does happen, I'll be able to deal with it. And that's it. That's all you can do. Like, I'm sure some of you had that thing where you wake up and you're paralyzed and you can't move. Or, the throat, the hands around the throat and all that sort of stuff. Demons trying to kick you out of your body and things like this. When that happens, especially when they paralyze you, because they're doing it energetically. And they often do it when you're falling asleep or when you're asleep because you're vulnerable at that point. And that's why they do it then. You may not be able to even say the Our Father or, call on Jesus Christ or something like that. So you have to think it. You need to be able to think it. And if you start getting that thought in your head, because what they do is they also scramble your brain. So if you can catch it just before they've taken over and they've really scrambled your brain and you go, no, and you start, no, like this, and you hear the Lord's Prayer or you're calling out to Jesus or you feel that in your heart, they will disappear like that. They'll disappear really fast. You can do it like that. Like I had, and of course then there's alien beings too that do really strange things with your energy. A lot of people experience the alien stuff because they use technology as well to control your frequency, to freeze you, to do experiments on you, to do things like that, But I want you to remember that you have free will and they know you do. They know you do. And I can tell you now, if they go against that universal law, they suffer the consequences. And they know it. So very, very few go against it. And I can tell you that the consequences don't come necessarily from the light. They come from their own kind. Because there's certain things they have to agree on to exist. Remember, God created everything. So if they come to you and they want to do something to you or they're taking over and you can say no 3 times, they have to leave because you have free will. I'm not agreeing to this. No, I'm not agreeing to this. Right? Leave now. When you say it, you can't be weak with it. You've got to be really strong with it. And that's the thing about free will, which is why they're manipulating everyone. They manipulate people into saying yes, into agreeing, into giving their power away. They do it through money, through fear. Anyway, I don't need to go into that, but we can see many, many, many initiations happening right now. What side do you want to be on? Do you want to be in the household of fear, or do you want to be in the household of love, light, and truth, and the new earth? It depends where you place your energy. You got to place your energy somewhere, and you've got to choose right now. And I can say to you, if you're dealing with demons, they'll often split open your aura. So you have to be, when they attack you, they split your aura open. So then you've got to take a bit of time to close it down or go to someone and get it closed up. But still, it takes a week. So sometimes you can't work for a week, or sometimes you can't go visit certain people for a week or drink or stuff like that. You really have to become observant of your own energy and respectful of your own energy and not abuse yourself. And the main reason that people get attacked by demonic energies or alien energies is because they have something that they want. They want to stop you from doing what you're going to do, or they want to take you off the path, or, they want to take something of yours, disable you in some way. And so I wouldn't let them do that. Get help if you need it. But because sometimes when you know, we have these things happen, these attacks, when our mind is scrambled. Remember I said they scramble your mind. So I'm talking about demonic here. I'm not talking about, you know, going into a shopping center, that mental psychic attack. I'm talking about demonic attack. They scramble your mind. So you're going down one track of thought, thinking it's this, it's that, you know, it could be something completely different, but they've scrambled your mind to believe it's something else. So you're not addressing the problem. I've seen people I've met people who've worked on something for years for that reason, because they honestly thought they were working on it, but their mind was being scrambled and they were being diverted. And what's happening on the planet right now? We're getting diverted all the time, all the time. Distracted. Oh, look at this over here. No, don't look at this. Look over here. That's their MO. That's what they like to do. Oh, no, it's not that. Can't be that, you know. It has to be this. So seek out some, if you can, seek out a sounding board. Seek out someone who can give you another viewpoint, or look at it from another angle or something like that. So you know that if you're being scrambled, you can go on the path where you can actually see with demons. If you can, the more light you shine on a demon, as in the truth, that's their enemy. Their biggest enemy is the truth. So the more truth you can find out about that demon. When did the demon start connecting with you? Why is it connecting with you? What motivation does it have? What's it doing to you? If you can find out these things, it gets weaker and weaker. Like when I worked with people who'd been satanically abused, I'm telling you, I dealt with demons on a daily basis. And what was very interesting was that the more information you can get, the weaker the demon became attached to that person. In those circumstances, they have rituals where they attach certain demons or levels of demons at certain ages and through certain rituals and things like this to bring about outcomes for that person and get that person to behave in certain ways. And I mean, it's pretty perverse. But anyway, the more that I could find out about the demon, the weaker it became. And it would always surprise me, but I know 100%. It's because the truth, remember, the truth shall set you free. Free of what? Free of the friggin' demons and the darkness. When you say to someone, when you're having a conversation with someone and they're trying to, you know, manipulate or control you in some way or hide something, you feel it. So they talk, but you're feeling something else. So you're hearing one thing, but you're feeling another thing. And that makes you feel confused. And then you doubt yourself. Oh, maybe I was wrong about that person. You know, sometimes you meet people and instant you meet them, you go, something's not right about that person. But then they talk, and then you go, oh, you know, maybe I was wrong. They're okay, blah, 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 right? So what you felt was the truth, but what you heard was a friggin' lie. The truth will set you free. So when you listen to yourself, what your body knows, what your intuition is telling you, and you operate off that, you're free to live your life in a beautiful way. It's like if you say to someone, hey, can you help me do such and such on Saturday? And they go, yeah, I can help you. But what you feel is they actually don't want to help me, but they haven't got the guts or the heart to tell me. Because sometimes People love you and they don't want to hurt you. So they say, oh, yeah, yeah. And then you get this last minute SMS, I'm sick, sorry, I can't help you. Now you got to scramble around and try and find somebody else to help you. But you knew, right? You knew there was something in you when you walked off that you thought, oh, I don't know, I don't know, you know, I just feel a bit funny about that. But, you know, I won't ask anybody else. They said they'd do it. So if somebody asks me something, I sometimes take my time to think about whether or not I want to do it, because I don't want to be that incongruent. I want to be honest with people, right? But if I ask someone and they give me an answer and I'm picking up it's not right, I will tell them later, like I'll think about it and go, no, I think I'll get someone else, because I have a feeling they'll let me down. And I'll either set them free and say, listen, it's fine, I found somebody else, or I don't say anything and I still find someone else and I get the SMS at the last minute saying, sorry, can't do it, right? And I go, that's fine, okay? So that's what I mean by, that's a simple way of saying the truth will set you free, but it's the same with any dark energy. The more you understand about it and demystify it and know what its role is in your life, the less power it has over you. Because its power is in the darkness, it's cloaked, it's veiled, is you not knowing. Right? So on that I'm going to close, because I've blabbled on for quite some time and it seems Spirit wants me to go too. So I'm going to love you and leave you. And we didn't do a healing tonight, but I got the message to discuss this. I hope it's helped some of you to understand. I mean, obviously I can't talk about all the different layers of this in an hour and a half, but I can give you some idea. And maybe the light has gone on with a few things, but definitely the more you know about something, the weaker it becomes. So thank you very much. And I'll see you Saturday at the meditation. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now. Lots of love.